So we'll get started for Friday night. It's a standing start. Just going to move the block that I'm going to be used later towards the back of the mat. And allow myself to come in towards the front end of the mat, have the feet about a comfortable hip distance apart, but more importantly than that, the feet parallel to each other. We'll take a little breath and just take the arms out to the side as we inhale. And take the hands all the way up on a slow breath above the shoulders, and then exhale them back out again. We'll do that again. And just starting to notice where the weight falls into your feet. Does it stay in the same place as you move your arms, or does it move around a little bit? Also trying to see if the weight feels like it's distributed evenly through the foot. So although the arms are moving, we're more sort of focused mentally on the sensory feedback that we're getting from the feet. Time as we bring the hands down, get the feet a little wider apart. And start ourselves to soften the knees a little. So we want the tailbone going down, and the spine as if you're leaning against the wall behind you. And we'll bring the hands together in front. Now, as we inhale, we're going to slowly press down through the feet, allow the legs to gently open completely, and just cross the arms a little bit at the top, and then come back down again. So there's a long movement through the legs, through the arms, and a little movement through the legs. And as you press down through the legs, see if you can press down a little more than actually needs for you to move the legs. I don't know if that makes sense at all. You press down with everything you've got, but slowly allow the legs to open up. So the muscle fibers are sort of fighting a little bit against resistance, because you could push down with everything and not move the legs at all. Get a certain type of stretch, and then you can do that again with this slow movement. You don't need to come down deep, and again we're mentioning about the pelvis being in a neutral position. And just crossing the arms over a little bit at the top as well means we're moving a little deeper into the shoulder movement. Come up for the last time. And this time we'll bring the hands together, just interlace the fingers lightly, and take it into a side bend over towards our left. We'll press down through the right foot. Inhale, bring ourselves back up. Cross it over towards the right. Inhaling up. Try to lengthen out through the arms. They're going to be pretty straight. Now we're pressing down through the opposite leg and stretching the fingers over to the opposite side. So this is not a loose side bend. It's a powerful, strong version. I know they look exactly the same, but energetically they'll feel different. We'll come back into the center. Towards the front of the mat, feet to come back into that hip distance apart. We'll bring the hands into the heart. Allow ourselves to hinge at the hips, soften the knees as we come down. We'll take a few breaths here. Again, noticing whether we have a habit of pressing the weight into the heels, or whether it's into the toes or rolling into the side edges of your feet. We try to keep the weight even through the whole foot. Small bend in the knees to allow ourselves to bring the ribs onto the thighs. Now we'll begin to bring the hands onto the shins and lift halfway up. And exhale back down. Just sliding the fingers to the floor. Coming back up again. Breath in. And easing our way down. Up again. And down for the last time. We'll step back with both feet through down dog into plank and knees down to the floor for cat-cow. Just rolling the shoulders back gently. We inhale forwards. Tuck the tailbone the opposite way. Draw the belly in. Round your shoulders to the sky as you press into your hands and your shins. Inhaling forwards. Now, some people like to breathe the opposite way around. That feels more natural. And if that's the case, by all means, follow your instincts. Noticing the quality of the movement and the feeling of stretch. Is it even and consistent? Or are you a little bit tight? Maybe you've been sitting in one posture for a long period today. Or just for a long period of your life. You got a little bit stuck. Try to loosen it up a little bit. Then bring ourselves back into a nice neutral position. We're going to take a little breath from here. Allow ourselves to take the right knee away from the floor. We're going to keep the 90-degree bend in the leg. And then draw the knee through, sort of brush against the floor. And bring the knee in towards the chest. So we're almost getting the knee to nose touch. And then back. Press down through the bottom shin. That will fire up your abdominal muscles for you and keep you in a neutral spine. And then we'll bring the leg through again. Squeeze it in. Take it back out. Come through. Press down through the hands and the shin as you lift the knee. Bring it back in. And last time, going back. Extend the leg out fully. Bring your toes to the floor. And then slide the knee back underneath you. We'll transfer the weight into the opposite leg. Press into the shin a little as we lift the left knee, keeping that right angle, more or less. And draw the knee through. You're trying to keep your bone and your belly button over the center line of the mat. Squeeze it in for all you can. Use all of your breath. Press down into the shin as you take the leg back. And into the wrists and hands. Squeeze it in. Now we'll come in for the last time. Take the leg back, extend out, toes to the floor, knees to the ground. We'll sit back onto the heels just for a moment. Allow ourselves to roll the wrists around, give them a little reprieve. And then we're back. Allow the elbows to come to the ground underneath the shoulders and interlace the hands together, just tucking the little finger underneath. And pressing down through your forearms, push your shoulders away from the ground first of all, then tuck the toes underneath and lift the hips to the sky. So we come into dolphin pose, but we're coming from the floor up rather than the other way around, from down dog into dolphin. And we're just going to hold the pose, pressing forearms into the ground, pressing shoulders to lift away from the floor, drawing the belly in, lifting the hips up and back. Heels are away from the ground for most of us. And if they're not, take the feet out a little bit further until they are. It's almost like you're drawing your chest towards the back of the mat. And then we'll bring the knees back down to the floor and sit back onto the heels. See if we can untangle our fingers and just give them a little shake out. We'll come back into plank, fingers to the front of the mat, take the legs back and lift the hips up to the height of the hip, of the shoulders. Rolling the feet over towards the left, we'll take the right hand up. Now on the exhale, we're going to bring the hand down and tap underneath us to the mat behind. Inhale, come back up, roll it through. Keep the legs strong as we move through. That's 2, 3. Side edge of one foot, the other foot flat to the floor. And then we'll bring that hand down. Last time. Take it high, bring it to the floor, come back into the original plank, feet to the opposite side. Left hand comes up, tap underneath. And last time. Hands to the floor until the full plank. Press out through the heels. And then bring the knees down to the ground. And we'll swivel the feet out to the side. And allow ourselves to scoot the feet towards the front a little bit. We're going to have a little play with the block. See if we can do something a little different this evening. First of all, we'll roll down. Wiggle the tailbone underneath, back of the shoulders. We'll bring the hands onto the knees first. We're going to take Apanasana. So that's a fairly regular thing for us to do. We'll draw the knees towards us and take them out wide. Use an exhale to let them travel away. Bring them back into the center, finishing the breath. And then inhaling, as you draw the knees back in again. So the tailbone gets a little bit of a lift as well. There's a little bit of movement through the lower back. There is some gentle movement in the shoulders as we hunch round. And then as the knees go away, they kind of get dragged down towards the bottom end of the mat. We'll take that a couple of times in the opposite direction. Pressing away. And we'll let the feet come to the floor. close to the bottom. Now I'm going to take the block and put that on top of your thigh so that it's a thin edge. And you want the longer side of the block rather than the short version. So that's the 10-inch or the 12-inch rather than the 8-inch. And you can take your knee and draw it in towards you. Allow yourself to press your elbow against the block. You're going to keep your chin in that same position, so you're not straining the chin, the neck muscles, you're just holding there. Then you slowly lengthen out through the right leg. Allow yourself to flex the foot and just gently bring your right foot a little off the ground as you try to press your elbow and your knee together on the side. You can take the spare hand and just put that behind the back of your head so that you don't strain your neck. It's a bit like you're doing an isometric contraction, basically because you are. And as you know, you hold those for about 45 seconds. You'll be feeling those abdominal muscles getting a bit toasty, just about around the belly button area. Last breath. Bring the foot down. Allow yourself to take hold of the block. Allow your left foot to come to the floor. Bring your right leg back in. And then place the block onto your right thigh. Draw the knee in. Bring your elbow. Through. Hand behind the head. A little play. And then slide the left leg out. Flex the foot. Take a breath, draw your belly down, and lift your foot just a few inches off the ground. Press elbow and knee towards each other. And you can lower that foot to the floor. Take the hand away, let the head come to the ground and move the block out. Now I'm going to take that towards the back of the mat. Bring both feet in towards the center line of the mat. Take the arms out wide, in line with the chest, palms up. Shimmy the hips a little over towards the left. Let the legs roll down towards the right. Now, the assumption that your shoulders are flat to the floor and your bottom leg is touching the ground, if those conditions are met, squeeze your top leg onto your bottom leg, flex your feet, and extend slowly your feet out to the side of the mat. So you're kind of making a 90-degree angle through your body and your legs. If your shoulders are not on the ground or your leg is not on the ground, then allow yourself to stay in the previous version. Now, if your shoulders are on the ground but your legs aren't, you could take the block and just pack underneath the back of the legs. We're going to bring the heels back in, roll across to the center, shimmy the hips the opposite way, the legs go down. Check that we meet the conditions of legs and shoulders. Use the block if you need to. Squeeze the top leg down, flex your feet, and then take both feet out to the side again. And then we'll bend the knees, bring the legs back, realign the spine to the mat. Draw the knees in, chin in towards the chest, wrap your arms gently around the shins. Take a little breath from there, roll onto the right side, release, bring the fingers to the floor, spin the feet towards the back of the mat, so come back up into all fours, pointing towards the front, hopefully. Take a little breath from there, allow ourselves to move into down dog. Just adjust your feet and your hands to your perfect feeling of down dog. And then we'll come forwards into a plank and just bring the shoulders over the wrists, keeping the hips high. We'll move slowly back. We'll come forwards again as we inhale. Strong legs pressing. Going all the way back. Coming through, number 3. And to number 4. Those hands pressing down so the shoulders are as close to the ceiling as they're going to get. Number 5. We're going to allow ourselves to come into down dog and scissor the right leg to the sky. Draw the knee in towards the chest. Bring the foot through to the front of the mat. Lower the back knee on the toes. Sweep the hands alongside the body as you exhale, lift up into low crescent. Bring the hands down to the floor. Touch on the back. Leg lifting into down dog. And scissor the left leg high. Draw the knee through front of the mat. Back knee drops down, untucking the toes. Hands alongside the body. And we lift up. Hands come to the floor. This time we take a tuck of the toe on the back foot, lift the knee, and step through to the front of the mat. Falling down deep as we exhale. Bring the hands to the hips. And then let ourselves lift the long way up. Bring the hands in towards the heart. And take the hands towards the sky into a little back bend. Bring the hands back into the heart. And allow yourself to exhale down to the floor, drawing the belly in as we go. We're going to take a little breath and send the right foot to the back of the mat. And we're going to come into the high crescent pose. So draw the hands alongside the body, lifting the chest. Float the arms out in line with the body. Belly drawn in. Press down through the front shin and the tailbone to lift. Bring the hands back down to the floor. Drop the heel now down to the ground to come into warrior 2. This time we're just taking the right hand forwards and cartwheeling through and up. We'll take the hands high on the breath in, lengthen out towards the front of the mat, step it back into our down dog and adjust. Come forwards into the plank. I'm going to take half plank and up dog. You probably knew that already. Breath in, and then work our way back into the dog. We'll scissor the right leg. Draw the knee in towards the chest and the foot through to the front of the mat for our lunge. On the fingertips with low hips and easy shoulders, we can press off the back foot into that forward stance. Hands on the hips. So lift. Bring hands into the heart. Take them to the sky, into the back bend. Back in towards the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Breath. Step the left foot back. High crescent to the second side. Hands alongside, lifting the chest. Float the arms forward, strong belly. Lift. Bring the hands to the floor. Drop the heel in for warrior 2. Take the breath to the sky. Rotate and length out. Keep the back foot pressing down. Stepping back to down dog. Inhale to plank. Half plank. To up dog. If you do need to bring it east to the floor, then try to ensure you press down through the shins. Scissor your left leg high. Knee towards the chest, foot comes through. A breath in the lunge, strong back leg. Push off the toes to that forward bend. Hands onto the hips and we lift. Hands into the heart. Take a breath. On the exhale, take the hands towards the sky and into the back bend. Inhale to your heart. Exhale down to the floor. Take a breath. Bending your right foot to the back of the mat. We're dropping the heel in. We're coming into warrior two. Taking the right hand forwards and up. And turn the palm on the front hand into reverse warrior. Just stretching the top arm out towards the back of the mat. There's a strong rear leg. Front knee stays over the ankle. We come back into warrior two. Turn the head towards the front of the mat. Inhale high. And then lengthen out down to the ground we go. Stepping back into our down dog. And forwards to plank. Half plank. Up dog as we breathe in. Rolling back to down dog. And feel the right leg high. Knee in towards the chest. And bring your foot through. And then push from the lunge into the forward bend. Exhaling as you go. Hands to the hips. Allow yourself to lift. Hands in towards the heart. Take the breath in. Use the exhale to move into your back bend. Bring the hands into the heart, breath in. Use the exhale to come down to the floor. Take a breath. Left foot back, drop the heel in. Lift into our warrior two. Turn the palm on the front hand into our reverse warrior. Ease that way back. Looking towards the front hand. Hands come high. Extend out over the front leg and down to the floor. We step back. Down dog and adjust. Take the breath into plank. Half plank on the exhale. Inhale for up dog. And exhale into that down dog. Scissor the left leg high. Draw the knee in towards the chest. Foot through for the lunge. Push off the toes into that forward bend. Hands onto the hips. We let ourselves lift. Hands into the heart. We take the breath again. Use the exhale to the back bend now. And hands in towards your heart. Inhale. Exhale down to the floor. We'll step the right foot back. Bring hands alongside the body to lift into high crescent. Hands come forwards, we lift up. Breath in. Hands come to the floor. Exhale. Drop the heel in as you breathe. Hands alongside your body and use your exhale to come into your warrior two. So hands behind your back for humble warrior. Bring the chest and the hips square to the front of the mat. Extend out over the front thigh. Once we reach there, we can inhale the hands towards the sky, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And exhale, let the body fold in a little deeper. The eyes naturally taken towards the back foot. And bringing the hips over the center line of the mat. Take a last breath and bring the hands to the floor and step back into down dog and adjust. Come forwards into the plank. Half plank to up dog. Scissor the right leg high. Knee towards the chest, into the lunge. Press into a forward bend, standing at the front of the mat. Hands to the hips, lift. Take hands to the heart, breath in. Use your exhale. Your back bend. Bring the hands to your heart. Use the next exhale to come down. Soften the knees as you get tired. Take a breath. Left foot back, it's high crescent again. Hands alongside the body. Extend them out. Strong through the fingers. Down through the shin. Breathe in. Come to the floor. Drop the back heel in. Warrior two. Hands behind your back. Turn the chest and the hips. Keep the back foot touching the ground. Over the thighs. Inhale the hands high. And then make more space. On the exhale to bend in. Lifting the hands to the ceiling. Keep a bit of a weight into that back foot pressing down. Keep it as an anchor. Last breath. Hands come to the floor. We step back into our down dog. Breath in. Into the plank. Half plank. To up dog. Rolling into our down dog. Scissor your left leg high. Knee through. Into lunge. Take a breath. Press off the toes. Forward bend. You start to bring your hands onto your hips and lift. And relax. Close your eyes. Hopefully, the feet are parallel, aligned to each other. And we can take mountain pose, feeling very steady through the feet. And you can open the eyes, bring hands to the heart, and scan down towards the floor. Slowly bring your feet together. So the toes touch, but there's a little gap between our ankle bones. Bring hands back onto your hips, off your knees, allow yourself to lift. Hands in towards the heart, soften the knees over the toes. Sit back down far enough to take the weight into the heels. By keeping the knees pressed together, shift your weight gently into your right foot. And just slide your left foot out so that the leg is now completely straight and just lifted a fraction off of the ground. One-legged chair. Now bring the foot back gently, trying to keep in the position. Allow yourself to slowly take your weight to the left. Remember, you're still trying to press the thighs together, pointing out through the right foot. You can bring the foot back. Stay in the chair pose. Allow yourself to sit a little deeper as you take your hands out above your shoulders, palms facing in. Let ourselves lift. Just drop the hands down. Go to the back of the mat. Pick up your block. And then take it back towards the front end of the mat. Not because I forgot about it at all. I just couldn't think of a cooler way of bringing it to the front of the mat as a transition. So a rest period to move around the mat. Bring the hands in towards the heart again. Take a little breath. Allow yourself to hinge towards the ground. Now you're going to bring the hands onto the block edge. So the palms are down, the fingers are over the top, and thumbs. And you want the block pretty much underneath between your chest and your shoulders. And soften the weight gently into your right leg. And start to take your left foot back, just keeping your big toe on the ground for a moment. Now try to bring your pubic bone back in towards the center line. It will have probably moved out towards the right side a little. Keeping the toe pointing away on the left leg, you're slowly going to lift it up until you think you found the line between your body, the hip, and the rear leg. And you keep pointing the toes out, stretching the leg away. Now soften the front knee just a fraction and ease the left foot, big toe to the ground, and then slide it along the floor to bring the foot back into parallel, hip distance apart, back to two legs. Take a little breath. Tiny bend into the left leg, a little shift of the weight so that you can move your right foot back, and then try to bring your hips back over the center line. Let the toes away. Allow yourself to lift the leg again. Trying to get to that point where you think your body is aligned to the center line of the mat through your chest and through your legs, and that your hips are the same distance from the ground, that you haven't twisted your right hip towards the sky. Now soften the front knee again. Let the back toe come to the ground gracefully through a straight leg. And then slide the foot back in. Perfect. Let the block come to the floor. Allow yourself to move into a deeper forward bend. And then with hands on the ground, we step back to down dog. And bring the feet onto the center line of the mat. Take a little breath. Draw the left knee in towards your chest. Come forwards into plank and take your knees to the outside of your left elbow. Hook the heel back to the center line. Lay your shin down to the floor. Slide your right foot away into pigeon pose. Allow yourself to come up onto the fingertips. Draw the tummy muscles in. Square the hips a little more towards the front of the mat. So in this case, we'll be trying to send the left hip of the bent leg towards the back of the mat. The right hip comes forwards and press down through both shins, albeit one of them is a little bit side on at the front. And try and roll the shoulders back a little bit as well. The belly drawn in. So we're using the lift and the legs pressing down. That will automatically start to draw the tummy muscles in. But if we can focus on that a little more, we can draw it even lower down into that pubic pelvic bowl area. Okay, bring the hands to the floor. Tuck the toe on the back foot, lift the knee, then the hips. Press down through the hands to allow yourself to extract your leg out. Stretch it out a little bit. Then bring yourself back into down dog with the toes on the center line. And on the inhale, you'll draw right knee in towards your body. Come through to your plank, take your knee to the elbow. Bring heel across. Slide down. Walk. This time the left foot back. Square the hips a little. Begin to press down. Lift onto the fingertips. Drawing the tailbone down to the floor. And then we can release. Now you can either come back out the same way, or you can take your right hand out to the side, just lean into your hip, because we're going to come back to a seated posture. Anywho's, and we'll bring the block back into play. Just lift, bring the soles of the feet together, holding on to the ankles, more than okay. Holding on to the big toe, also enjoyable. Some people like to slide their thumbs into the sole of the feet around the ball joint and praise the feet open a little bit like a book, which allows the knees to come down a little lower as well. But think of this more as your recovery moment. So trying to let the legs relax a little bit might be the way to go, and bring your breath back. Allow your body to send the signals to your brain to let it know that pigeon pose has actually finished, and that you can appreciate what that's done to your body and how it's benefited, opening the joints, the muscles, the tendons and ligaments. Toes are drawn in this particular pose, this phase. That's enough of a rest. They don't last long, so you make the most of them. Bring the elbows around the outside of the knees, cross the ankles, roll forwards onto the knees, and move your block out to the side. I'm going to take a little breath, entangle the legs, and come back down onto the elbows, a bit like dolphin pose we had at the beginning, where we tap the little finger underneath. We push the forearms down and the shoulders away from the floor. We tuck the toes underneath, but this time we're going to just lengthen the legs out into an elbow plank. Now we can take it into a side elbow plank. So we'll roll the feet over towards the left, pressing the forearm down into the ground. Reach the right hand to the sky. Lift the hips as high as I can. Bring the hands back down, roll it back into original version of the elbow plank. Take the feet to the opposite side. And take the other hand high and the other hip towards the ceiling. We come back onto the elbows. Bring the knees to the ground. Bring the feet out to the side. Allow yourself to bring your feet together, but with a nice bend in the knees. We'll take hands behind the back of your legs. Roll your shoulders back. Lengthen your spine out of your pelvis, pivoting on your sitting bones. Now the legs to lift. So we're trying to get the toes kind of in line with the eyes, with the chin, somewhere around that area. Squeezing the thighs lightly together. And then we take the hands away for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We bring hands back, feet come down. We shoot a little bit further forwards. Allow ourselves to take a breath there. Now we're going to take both knees directly above the hips. The shins parallel to the floor, a nice 90 degrees, and we're going to draw the tummy muscles in the lower back to the ground. We extend the left leg fully towards the sky, keeping the right knee in that bend 90 degrees. And try to keep the bend there and hinge from the right hip. Allow your right foot to tap the floor as gently as you can, and then bring it back to where you think your two thighs are lined up. And just easing in gently. We'll take the hands out to the side and bring that back. Down. Back. Now your breath might be faster or slower than mine, so the movement of the leg marries to the breath. You do your best to maintain the 90 degrees. I would suggest, as an option, closing your eyes. And then we'll extend both legs up. Bring the 90-degree bend to the left leg. Point through the toes, right foot. Tap on the left. Bring it back. Tap. And bring it back. And tap. And bring it back. And again. And again. And we'll go for the last time. Extend both feet towards the sky again. Draw the knees in towards your body. Wrap your arms around your shins. The feet come to the floor close to the bottom again. Onto the center line with toes, heels, and knees. Interlace the hands lightly around the back of the head, the elbows out wide. Draw the lower back into the floor. Take a little breath, draw your chin towards your chest very lightly. And then on the exhale, we'll draw the heart towards the thighs for half boat. We'll take the hands forwards, come up onto the tippy toes, squeeze the thighs together as we lengthen the legs out, and they come down and down and down. And then we hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we come back up. So hands behind the back of the head. Roll the spine down. Bend the knees and bring the feet to the floor. Bring the arms out wide again. In line with the chest. And shimmy the hips gently towards the left. Let the legs go to the right, and this time we'll turn the head to the left as well. And we'll bring the right hand on top of the legs to add A little bit more body weight to that downward force. And we'll release and bring the legs back. Move the hips to the opposite side. Let the legs go down first. Use an exhale to turn. Use your hand on top of the thighs. And we'll release. Come back to the center. Now you start to draw your knees towards your body. And then let the knees kind of float out to the side to their comfortable place. Just placing the hands on top of the knees, so that natural weight dropping your legs into that ideal position to start happy baby will allow the soles of the feet to move towards the sky directly above the knees, and then walk your fingers along the shins towards your ankles. Spine very flat to the floor. Notice how that feels. Back of your head, shoulders, middle of your back, lower back, and your tailbone and hips, all making contact with the ground. Now, if you're able to bring your fingers around the outside of the little toe and still keep that same connection with the ground, then by all means take your fingers around your little toes. But if you lose the connection, if you feel that you've rounded away through any part of your body, then bring your hands back onto your ankles and shins. Simple as that. And then we'll release the feet to the floor. Bring them in close towards the bottom. Let the hands come out wide, about 12 inches or so from the body palms up. Just wriggle the shoulders underneath. Allow yourself to wriggle the hips away. Use your toes to walk your feet to the corner edges of your mat. And then slide the heels along the ground to that last bit until the legs are fully extended, and you can let the toes just roll out to the side naturally. The eyes closed. Allow yourself to loosen the jaw, soften the muscles around your eyes. And into the back of your neck, let those muscles soften and relax across the top of your shoulders, down your arms, right down to your fingertips. As you take the breath in, feel your chest expand, and on the exhale, let the spine, the ribs sink towards the mat. On the next breath in, feel your belly expand. And on the exhale, your belly button drops towards the ground. And the muscles in the hips, your buttocks, the back of your legs, the front of your thighs soften. And ask if you can release the muscles in your calves and across your shins. We tend to get a little bit numb to feedback and the feeling of how hard they've worked. Consequently, they're a little tricky to turn off and relax. Do your best. Allow the ankles and the toes to feel light and soft. Start to stretch those fingers and toes, rolling your wrists, stretching the ankles. Take a longer breath in and allow yourself to stretch out in any way that feels good to you. And slide your heels towards you, one leg at a time along the ground. The knees come in towards your body, and just allow the hands to drop around the shins. An easy, soft hug. A little rocking or stirring of the hips might feel pleasant. And then finally, when you're ready, mindful of where your props might be, allow yourself to roll onto your right side. Use your hands to press down into the floor to smoothly lift yourself back up to seated. Sitting tall, hands to the heart, closing the eyes. You can take a longer breath here. And a slow exhalation begins, letting the chin drop. And finding the belly drawn to the spine, we simply bow to the floor, sitting in our practice. On the inhale, letting the spine build with the breath. The head lifts, the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you for joining me on this Friday evening. Hope you enjoyed. See you again soon.